Hi, I'm Luke Gilfillan. Welcome to the Lounge with Luke Gilfillan. Hello and welcome to the Lounge with Luke Gilfillan. Today we're going to be going over not too many things. There is a coronavirus vaccine trial. This came out like about an hour ago with the New York Times, and stocks are rallying because this vaccine trial went well, which is good news. And then other local news we're going to go over. There was the OPRF spoken word team. They won a lot of awards at Louder Than a Bomb, which is their little competition. It was like a virtual event this year, so I'm sure that's interesting. And over the past couple of days, we've had a lot of storms or rain, essentially. So there was a flash flood warning yesterday, and Chicago Avenue is closed at Thatcher, and so is parts of So the Village of this is according to Maria Maxham at the Wednesday Journal. The Village of River Forest has activated its flood response plan because of rising water in the Des Plaines River. Chicago Avenue from Thatcher Avenue to First Avenue is closed due to high water levels and in anticipation of more rain, according to a message from the Village of River Forest to residents. Additionally, the village is constructing a flood wall as a precautionary measure to help protect the village against the uncertainty of predicted water in the rising river. So they're constructing another flood wall. So if you want to go over to near the Trailside Museum, they usually put flood walls there, and it looks pretty cool. They usually just lay down sandbags, and that'll keep the rain in. Tomorrow or the next day, I would recommend going to Thatcher Woods. And there are usually these little areas of there that are usually a little muddy, but they're low to the ground. But those places are completely filled up with water. And over near the Des Plaines River, the water is really, really high, almost up to near like the bridges that have the train tracks on them. The water is almost up to the tracks, I'd presume, right now. So that is definitely a thing you should take advantage of. Go there tomorrow or the next day. It's very cool to see. It looks like a marsh or a swamp almost, because you got the tree branches sticking out of the giant pool of water, I guess. So yeah, I would recommend that. And I apologize to anyone who had their basements flooded today. I know a lot of people were texting about that. They were like, "Oh my God, I'm flooding." Yep. A lot of people are doing that. So, apologies if you do that. Fun fact, I learned this yesterday. Plumbers have technically saved more lives than doctors because of like the sanitation and other things associated with plumbing. Because I don't think we have many cases of dysentery as a result of that. So, fun fact, plumbers have saved more lives than doctors. So, thank a plumber. We should have like a thank a plumber day. I think that would be a good idea. Okay, we're moving on. OPRF spoken word scores at virtual Louder Than a Bomb by Michelle Debye, a contributing reporter. Spring semester is louder than a bomb. They have an acronym for Louder Than a Bomb. It's LTAB, in case you were not aware. This multi-week event draws more than 500 poets and 120 teams from schools and community organizations across Chicago. They compete in slam style in what Young Chicago Authors, the organization behind the event, calls the world's largest youth poetry festival. Oak Park and River Forest High School spoken word club members spend weeks preparing. An 8-person slam team writes solo and team poets to perform on stages across Chicago. Preliminary bouts begin February 26th. OPRF's team, coached by Peter Kahn, English teacher and spoken word educator, Christian Robinson, assistant spoken word teacher, made it through the quarterfinals on March 12th. Next, we're up to the semifinals on March 15th, but with large audience is anticipated, up to 4,000 by the finals. The last competition week, which included the semifinals, team and individual final boots were postponed. It was simply not safe to perform in person due to COVID-19. The good news, LTAB went on virtually with the OPRF Slam team placing second. The bad news, those last rounds going virtual meant no live performances, no encouraging crowds snapping fingers, the The snap thing, it's like, ooh, 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 ooh. This is usually what happens after they tell like a sad story about. I don't want to get into specific details, but usually it's after they say like a sad story and then they do like some rhyme, then they go like ooh, ooh. It's quite the tradition. I love it. No special awards like Best Piece of Writing, often taken home by an OPRF team member, or Spirit of the Slam, and no powerhouse guest performances. I am shocked. No guest performances. Instead, one team video was submitted from an earlier rehearsal and one from a live LTAB quarterfinal bout. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. I don't know what that means. 4 individual poem performances were recorded from a student's home and submitted for the semifinals, 3 of which went on to the final. I just noticed something. For the past couple Lions with Luke Gilfillan episodes, I've forgotten to do the legendary local segment. This is unacceptable. I will be doing that at the end of this episode, and I will be continuing to do that in the future. Come on, Luke. 3 competitions went on as live virtual events. Judges still weighed in, commenting and scoring as before. Only doing it in the comments section. They were judging them in the comments section, as is routine on the Lounge with Luke Gilfillan and me getting judged in the comments section. I love it. Only doing it in the comment section. Coaches and students watched and participated by writing comments as well. I bet all the comments were like Slay Queen and then 4 emojis that no one can describe. It was a weird switch up of energy, Robinson said. There is so much crowd engagement that goes on live. Only seeing it through comments was very interesting, but it worked. LTAB wrapped up on May 2nd. According to Robinson, Slam team members were excited and grateful to participate, but there were mixed emotions. The team thoroughly enjoys participating together and being together, so it's good that wasn't taken off the table, but it's sad that they couldn't get the full experience. The 8 Slam team members have been meeting virtually through Google Meet with Khan and Robinson for 5 to 6 weeks. Those meetings included voting for which pieces got submitted for semifinals and finals, no different from their usual drill during Louder Than a Bomb, or as they call it, LTAB. Some members of the Spoken Word Club, which can have as many as 70 students, are at in-person meetings at school, have met a few times too. The group are split by grade for virtual meetings. A recent Google Meet for seniors had approximately 20 students. They're good overall, Robinson said of the virtual club meetings. It takes a little warming up to, but once you log into the chat, it's a little awkward at first. You have to figure out who's talking when, but once we get into it, everyone just settles down and is ready to catch up with each other. Now the club is preparing for a senior showcase. Spoken Word would have their own in-person spring showcase on May 6th. 3 seniors who would have been in the most showcases, and the Ishma Stewart Scholarship winner would do solo pieces, and 60 to 70 other students would also do new works. Only about half of the club members are taking part in their video call meetings and the virtual senior showcase in a scaled-back event. Normally when we are in school, Christian and I are reminding kids in the hallways there's a student bulletin. Sometimes we would look up student schedules and see if they missed a meeting, or we'd call home. There's a lot of things that are not at our disposal, Khan said, and it's not gearing up for a live performance. That's part of it too. Seniors expected to perform are Jalen Daniels, Alania Garas, and Matt Bucha, and scholarship winner Micah Daniels. All seniors are invited to make the video sharing their experience in spoken word for the showcase. The senior showcase is scheduled for Wednesday, May 13th, 7 p.m. and can be watched live at youtube.com/user OPRF YouTube. So there you go. That's the spoken word article. And the news on the coronavirus vaccine, if you were hoping that a vaccine would come in the next year, you're in luck. It may just be. I was thinking 2 years at the least. The flu, or most vaccines take like 5 years to produce, and a lot of them aren't even very effective. So I was assuming that would be the case with coronavirus, but this vaccine trial by Moderna shows promising early results. And this article in the New York Times sent Moderna stocks like shooting up because of that. There's this interesting thing that these companies will, around the New York Stock Exchange, stock exchange primarily. They will buy these little spaces and fill them to the brim with like all this software and computer stuff, and these computers will scan New York Times articles or Trump's Twitter for different like words like Moderna vaccine promising, in this case, or Trump will be like China trade deal coming, and then they'll buy a bunch of stocks in various companies before the general public can even digest the news. They'll do it within like milliseconds, and that'll make these companies like 7 cents before the rest of the world digests the information and buys these stocks. They'll get it first, so they make like 7 cents, and if you trade like 1 million shares at 7 cents profit, that's a lot of money, and they do that like constantly. It's a big money maker, these machines. So either way, that's why I don't know, we'll just read the article, but I find that interesting. The first coronavirus vaccine to be tested in people appears to be safe and able to stimulate an immune response against the virus. Its manufacturer, Moderna, announced on Monday. The findings are based on results from the first 8 people who each received 2 doses of the vaccine starting in March. Those people, healthy volunteers, made antibodies that were then tested in human cells in the lab and were able to stop the virus from replicating, the key requirement for an effective vaccine. The levels of those so-called neutralizing antibodies matched the levels found in patients who had recovered after contracting the virus in the community. The company has said that it is proceeding on an accelerated timeline, with a second phase involving 600 people to begin soon, and a third phase to begin in July involving thousands of healthy people. The FDA gave Moderna the go-ahead for a second phase earlier this month. If those trials go well, a vaccine could become available for widespread use by the end of this year or early 2021. Dr. Tal Zaks, Moderna's chief medical officer, said in an interview, "How many doses might be ready is not clear, but Dr. Zaks said we're doing our best to make it as many millions as possible." There's no proven treatment or vaccine against the coronavirus at this time. Dozens of companies in the United States, Europe, and China are racing to produce vaccines using different methods. Some use the same technology as Moderna, which involves a segment of genetic material from the virus called messenger RNA or mRNA. Moderna said that the additional tests in mice that were vaccinated and then infected found that the vaccine could prevent the virus from replicating in their lungs, and that the animals had levels of neutralizing antibodies comparable to those in people who had received the vaccine. 3 doses of the vaccine were tested, low, medium, and high. These additional results were based on tests of how the low and medium doses affected the patient. The only adverse effect at those doses were redness and soreness in one patient's arm where the shot was given. But at the highest dose, 3 patients had fever, muscle pains, and headaches, Dr. Zaks said, adding that the symptoms went away after a day. But the high dose is being eliminated from future studies, not so much because of the side effects, but because the lower doses appear to work so well that the higher dose is not needed. The lower the dose, the more vaccine we'll be able to make, Dr. Zaks said. Moderna's stock has soared in recent months and was up more than 23% on Monday morning after releasing the preliminary results. 23% is substantial. That is big. And that's the rest of the article. So, thanks so much for listening to... I almost forgot. I'm gonna grab the local, the legendary Locals book, and I will be back in 2 seconds. We're back. We got the legendary Locals book. I'm sure you all are thrilled. Did we read Henry Austin? I don't think we did. I think we left off right after that sociology person. I think we read May Cook. Alright, we're going to head over to Lee Brook. Yeah, Adola Maze. And there's the librarian. Yeah, no, we read the librarian one. And then I think I skipped over a page and read May Cook. No, I didn't. I didn't read May Cook. Okay. Now we're reading about Fremont Nestor. He was born in 1903 and died in 1976. Cartoonist Chester Gould is said to have modeled his comic strip character, hard-boiled but intelligent police detective Dick Tracy, on him. Fremont Nestor started out as an Oak Park patrolman during Prohibition in 1925 and retired as chief of police during the challenging, volatile open housing turmoil of the late 1960s. His officers often grumbled that he was too demanding and that he was too much of a stickler. But under his leadership, the Oak Park Police Department was recognized throughout the nation for its outstanding record. Perhaps Nestor's finest hour was when African American families began moving into the village from Chicago's West Side. Nestor surprised many reluctant white residents when he turned out to be a staunch ally of the fair housing movement. He routinely posted squad cars in front of the home and kept them stationed on block for some time after the new family arrived, just to be sure. He himself went up and down the blocks to cool down volatile situations. Nestor wisely elicited assistance from some potential young troublemakers to help keep neighborhood tempers from flying. I think it's too much liquid in my mouth right now. I don't know why. He assigned officers to protect the demonstrators who were protesting unfair real estate practices in the weekly Saturday marches along Lake Street. To reward him for his long and distinguished career in local law enforcement, Nestor was given the 1970 Oldsmobile at the time. Given a new 1970 Oldsmobile at the time of his retirement. I need to stop this lounge because for some reason the saliva amounts in my mouth are just increasing rapidly, like exponentially, and I think in a few seconds I might just start like... Alright, thank you so much for listening and goodbye.